Hello, Artlings. In this installment of Mrs. Ballard's Messy Desk, we will be making tree weavings. I have stuff in the kits for you guys, and you can follow along with me to make this a lovely thing. It won't look quite like this one. This one was made with a little bit different framework, some colorful framework. Yours are going to be brown, but the idea is pretty much the same. A couple of things to note before we get started is all you'll need is the yarn in your kit and some scissors. And that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I'm going to move over to my other messy desk over there and we'll get started. Yeah. All right, we're going to try from this new setup. We'll see how it works. So a couple of things to note about this tree weaving. Your frame will look like this, and you're going to weave back and forth your yarn into the warp threads that are already put on your loom for you. This is started from the bottom up, so you will start weaving back and forth with your first yarn here, change yarns whenever you feel like it, and then work your way to the top. It's up to you to decide how you want it to look. And weaving is awesome because if you don't like it, you just pull it out. So let's get started. Okay, so the first thing you'll need to do is find the color that you want to start with. And I have them wrapped up in these little, what I call butterflies. And you'll notice that they're wrapped pretty tight in the middle. And if you try to just start opening them up, you may or may not be able to get them. So I just like to pull that right off the top and just try to keep this as close as you can. It's wrapped in a way that it won't get super tangled, but the less you can wad it up and stretch it out, the better. You don't necessarily want to do this whole thing of yarn. It'll get a little cumbersome weaving it in and out. So I say pick a yard, and an easy way to measure a yard is to take one end of the string and the other, the middle here, and I'm going to stretch it all the way out as far as my arm will go. Click! And that's about what I need to start with. So I'll get my scissors, which are not here. Hang on. My scissors. And I'm going to cut this off and kind of put this to the side. And so you have a piece of string. You can use a longer string, but for right now, that's what we're going to do. You're going to start, the best way is in the middle of your piece. And you're going to basically pull some yarn up through the back and pull it until you've got that much left. This is going to be what you tie to the loom later, and you just kind of want to hold it in place while you do your weaving. And I'm just going to grab it here, and then I'm going to take my, let me flatten it out a little bit. I'm going to take my string, and I'm coming up here. I'm going to go over this string, and then in a pattern that we all learned, over, under, over, under. So I'm going over this string, under, over, under, and when I get to the end of the row, I'm going to pull it and then smush it down, and I'm still holding this so it doesn't pull out because that's my tail. And then I'm just going to go backwards, and so as you can see, this string, the warp thread, is my weft thread, which is the stuff, is under my warp thread. So when I start it over again, I do the opposite. You always do the opposite. So it's under here. I'm going to start by going over. So I'm going to go over this string, under that string, over this string, under that string, over, under, over, under. And as you guys learned a while back, you don't pull it super tight. It's a little hard to make a rainbow here, but just kind of pull it through and then smush, 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 smush. You don't want it to be super tight because then it'll pull all your strings together like, you don't want that. Okay, so I ended under, so I'm going to go over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and then pull a little bit, just kind of keep it loose. And all right, I'm going to put it on pause. I'm going to repeat the process until I'm done with this string. At this point, you can probably let go of this guy. It's not going to go anywhere. So I'm going to pause it. I'll be back in a second. Okay. As you can see, I'm mostly done, and I've got quite a bit right here. It's nice and loose, not too tight. And now I'm going to show you how to kind of change colors. If I wanted to continue with green the whole way, I would just tie the old green to this one. Well, we'll show you. Okay, ended under, so I'm going to go over, under, and I'm probably going to get maybe one more row. And to make it easy, you don't ever want to end on the end. It's better if you can end in the middle. So I'm going to kind of end the first way I started, which is to weave it until I get to the middle. And then it's under here, over here. I'm just going to drop it back here like that. And my next string will start coming up through here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So maybe, yeah. This goes under here. And if this were all one string, it would go under and then over. Okay. So at this point, I'm going to tie a new string on, or just leave a tail. I'm going to flip it over so you can see it. So my tails are just kind of sticking out the back. I'm going to use this lovely blue color. Why not? And I'm going to do the same thing that I did when I started, which was I'm coming up here because I left off here. I went under this string, and my next one will go up and over. So I'm going to start here. I'm going to pull it through until I get a little tail hanging off. And then I'm just going to hold it for a minute. I'm not going to tie it yet. And you can see that the yarn is wanting to go over this string, and then it's wanting to fall off my desk, and then under this one. And I'm holding it in the back, kind of pinching it so it doesn't go anywhere. And I'm just going to kind of pull it a little taut. And now I'm ready to keep going. So keeping going, it ended up under. So I'm going to go over, under, over, under. And I'm holding the back just for a minute, maybe until 1 or 2 rows. And I'm going to pull until I get it lightly done. And then I'm going to smush. And then I can probably let go of that. Just don't pull too hard. So I'm ending under. So I'm going to start over, under, over, under, over, under, over, under, and pull, pull, pull. Oops, get stuck. Pull, pull, pull until I'm good here, and I start patting it down. And I can pull this in a little tighter if I want. Okay, I'm going to pause it again until I'm done with the blue, and I'll come right back. Okay. Almost done with the blue. I'll end up ending it back there. I do want to show you one quick thing before I finish this up and I get to the end. If at this point you want to tie some strings together because it's freaking you out because they're all left over, you can start tying them together. This is the back of the piece. It's not going to be seen, but just tie them really loose. Don't pull them real tight, because if you do, it'll mess this up. So I tied the first one to the next one. I'll tie this one to this cord when I'm finished, and then when we get to the very, very end, I'll show you how to finish it completely. But if I wanted to, I could get rid of these. If they're freaking you out, go ahead and do it. If not, just leave them till the end and we'll deal with them later. All right, I'm going to stop the video. I'm going to finish up this little basic tree, and then I'll be back in a minute. Just kidding, I forgot. I'm going to end this yarn just like I ended the other one, somewhere in the middle, not here on the end. I'm just going to maybe right here, just kind of stick it down in there. And then my next yarn will start, I'm going to use this green stuff right here. My next yarn starts coming up from here, and you just leave the tail a little bit, pinch it, kind of hold it, and then keep going. So you do that every time you change colors. Okay, now for reals, I'm going to pause it. Okay, almost done. I'm going to add a little bit more, but I wanted to show you what happened when you ran out of warp thread. I'm going to start, my new row is ready to go up here. I ended under, and I'm going to go over, under, until I get to the end. I'm going to go ahead and pull mine through. When you get it fat like this, when it gets to be pretty big, you don't have to wait till the end of the row to pull it through. You can pull it through anytime. Okay, so I've got my yarn, and I'm going to go under this thread and kind of pull it. I don't really want to do this one anymore. It's pretty full. So I'm going to stop here. So I'm going to go around this thread and skip this one, and it still works. I'm under here. I'll go over, under, and I'll be over here again. I'm just going to skip it. And from now on, this thread is done. And so if that happens again, so I'm going to go over, under, over, under, over, under, and I probably can go all the way back with one row. Over, under, over, under. It's kind of fuzzy there in the middle. I might not make it, but the idea, oh yeah, I'll make it. The idea is I'm still going to skip it. This is my last thread. Now, even though it's there, and I will start my new thread coming up here. Just pretend like this doesn't exist anymore. Anytime you get to a warp thread that's full, you eventually might even just be weaving on the top part here. So, all right, I will pause again. Okay, I've gotten mine to the point where I feel like I need to be finished. You can weave it all the way up into here if you want. You can leave as much warp thread as you want, but I'm going to turn it over and start tying the ends. And there's no real science to this. I usually tie the ends that are closest together, or you can tie them across. Just don't pull them tight. A loosey-goosey knot. Okay? You pull them tight, you're going to have crazy draw in, and that's not good. So just start tying, and don't clip them too close or they'll come apart. But just tie the ends together. It's okay if you don't have one, especially in the middle, to tie it to. So just don't leave this guy floppy. So I might start now and come in here and start tying these together to make sure that my last end has been tied to something. If I have to leave one loose in the middle, it's not a big deal. It's not going anywhere. So it looks like, well, it looks like I probably am okay. I'm going to tie this. And I'm sure there's one in there somewhere that I've missed, but like I said, in the middle, it's not so bad. Just tie a little double knot and then clip it kind of short. And then there you go. There's your tree. And you can flip it. If you've done it nice and loose, you can flip it out a little bit. It should move pretty good. If you've done it too tight, then you won't be able to do this, but you can tie a string to the top. You can put a little pin through it, but that's your tree weaving. Yay! And these are the roots. You can also use the extra yarn to coil around the trunk if you want to make it a fatter trunk, or coil the yarn around here, glue some stuff to it. It's your weaving, but this is the beginning. So, all right, next time, I don't know. We'll just have to see. Bye-bye.